Okay, this is a very brief report from the UNFCCC, many C's, but you know it's the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It's called an information note, which basically raises some possibilities of applying artificial intelligence for climate action in developing countries, what the opportunities are, challenges and risks are. So looks at adaptation, mitigation, challenges, risks, and gives a few case studies. I'm going to be very brief about it because it's just an indication of what's possible. Case studies are not always available. So here we start with AI applications for climate change adaptation. So obviously climate modeling and planning, we have already looked at all the things that AI has been doing for climate modeling, improving the modeling, parameterizations, hybrid modeling, AI for forecast, for downscaling, which brings us to the early warning systems for natural disasters. AI is a very useful tool here. Urban resilience planning, and we'll look at a case study. Earth observation and remote sensing for adaptation, how to bring together all the observations. It's often called multimodal AI models, where you bring together physical data, chemical, biological, audio, visual, images, and so on to make sense out of them for developing information for decision making on adaptation. Optimizing agri-food systems, we have already looked at some of the AI applications here. We'll look at it a little bit more. Water management systems, of course, irrigation. We have discussed. We have discussed how to optimize water distributions, etc. There are many applications of AI in water management systems and food systems, and so on. Biodiversity monitoring, very rich target. Marine coastal ecosystem protection and management, land use and land use change prediction, so that you can plan land use management better and adapt to the risks that are already here and those that are expected in the near future. I will just read off the case studies that have been reported in this section, which is the section with the most examples of actual implementations. Reducing deforestation in the Amazon rainforest, and as I'm recording this in November 2025, there's a report that deforestation in the Amazon has been reduced by 11%, which is amazing news. Improving early warning systems in Ethiopia. This is, again, a very good news. Mapping images using deep learning for climate resilience in the Caribbean. Improving forest management in Vietnam. Using AI for crop yield prediction and monitoring in Kenya. Drought risk modeling for climate change adaptation in St. Kitts and Nevis. For each one of them, there is a reference that you can follow up with. And there is a little blurb that I'm not reading, but I will read this one here. AI for protecting biodiversity in Colombia. So using AI for land resource management in Indonesia, which is subject to lots of pressures in terms of palm plantations for palm oil, deforestation associated with that, using El Nino forecasts to set fire and clear out lands, clear out forests for development and palm plantations and so on. In North Sumatra, Indonesia, AI is being used to predict land use and land cover changes with an artificial neural network-based cellular automaton model. This model uses factors such as latitude, slope, road proximity, and soil type to simulate changes in land use patterns over time. The predictions indicate a shift from forested areas and croplands to plantation development, with significant changes projected by 2050 and 2070. And by forecasting these shifts, the AI model helps policymakers and environmental managers take proactive steps to manage land resources and mitigate the impacts of deforestation and agricultural expansion. It's another hot spot for deforestation, in general, losses of biodiversity, including some primates and so on that need all the help they can get. So the next one is mitigation. So AI applications for climate mitigation. Greenhouse gas monitoring, of course, we've talked about it. We'll mention it again. And here, no case studies, but there are programs like Climate Trace that use satellites to do efficient monitoring that we'll see in a minute. Land use and land use change monitoring and prediction that we just mentioned in adaptation as well. Energy management, of course, we have talked a lot about this under AI podcast series, which this will go under the same section. Transport management. It's not just electrification and EVs, but also managing patterns, resilience of the networks, and so on. Monitoring, reporting, verification, and carbon markets. Of course, this is very critical to make sure there is no greenwashing going on and that additionality of carbon markets or carbon sequestration or carbon offsets is, in fact, working. So here is a brief example of the case study that there are not many others. There are words on how each of these things can be served by AI, but they are not case studies. Okay, tracking greenhouse gas emissions using AI, reference 12 you can follow up with. Climate Trace, which is an effort using satellites, as I said, and it leverages AI to enhance the accuracy and transparency of global greenhouse gas emissions inventories so that all the NDCs can happen with proper MRV, monitoring, reporting, and verification. Traditional emissions data has often been self-reported and unverified, leading to discrepancies and delays in reporting. Climate Trace tackles this issue by using data from over 300 satellites and 11,000 sensors combined with AI algorithms to independently monitor and quantify emissions from diverse sources, including oil and gas production, shipping, aviation, forest fires, and rice production. Many of these emissions have been found to be significantly higher than previously estimated. Satellite monitoring and other sensors takes away the temptations and efforts to underreport or just cheat or openly and so on. And this is a serious problem, especially for ships that are out there in the middle of the ocean and they can report whatever they want, or rice paddies, which may also be underreporting, obviously, and so on. Challenges and risks associated with AI, then, you have to always worry about this. The digital divide, so the rich-poor divide, information, lack of information access, etc., can be a problem, plus providing privacy. So data availability and access, open sourcing, and people have to be aware that they're contributing and what it's being used for and how they benefit from the data that's collected on them. So data security and privacy come in there. Gender bias and social inequities, of course, always a concern, but especially when data is being gathered without them often knowing even that data is being gathered on them. Energy and water consumption of the AI, we have discussed this in great detail. So AI itself has to be sustainable, even though AI is helping with energy management, food, water, transportation, and sustainability overall. It also has to be sustainable in its own energy and water use. And AI applications that increase risks from climate change itself. This is a bit tricky, but basically we are using AI to, in some sense, enhance consumption, right? Everything you search on the internet can be gathered to sell you things that you may be looking for or may not even be looking for, but somehow they can figure out your eyes hover over some product and they can immediately send you an ad saying, here it is, you can buy it. So always dangerous, okay? So there are some other efforts under the UNFCCC for helping the developing countries with climate action with AI applications, and there are some steps listed as to how UNFCCC is going to help capacity building. These are again going to come down to not leaving behind developing countries in the AI race. Sorry about that, which are taking off and rich countries are dominating. How will developing countries catch up? That makes massive noise here. It's telling me I'm disconnected from the Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, that'll creep into the recording, I suspect, but I'll check. Okay, see you in the next topic.